South Carolina's Grand Strand. 50 miles of white sandy beaches, bright lights, and a fun atmosphere. For many young men, they come venturing to Myrtle Beach to discover their manhood. For many of them, it's just a fantasy to ride the bumper cars. And then their hearts turn towards what? The go-karts, and a chance to chase a checkered flag. For some of those young men, that fantasy turns into reality. Hello everyone, I'm Bill Hennessy and welcome to Myrtle Beach Speedway for tonight's Husqvarna 101 lap affair for the Goody's NASCAR Dash Series cars. This event tonight will be a contest between the seasoned veterans and the young men with aspirations to claim a checkered flag. Down trackside is my broadcast colleague, Lenny Baticki.
Myrtle Beach Speedway, the sun fun capital of the world's place to race here in South Carolina. Tonight's Husqvarna 101 should be all kinds of fun for these NASCAR Goodies Dash Series drivers. A little further down pit road with our front row is Jack Murphy. Starting second tonight in Myrtle Beach for the Husqvarna 101 is a gentleman you may remember from his days in the ARCA series. He was injured. He had a tough road to come back. He's back on top. It is a gentleman from the Sandhills of North Carolina, Tom Usrig. Congratulations on your good run.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
It's been tough coming back from that tragic accident.
Oh, yeah, but we've been running pretty good here lately.
Any advice for the young guy on the pole tonight?
No, none whatsoever.
Just look out for him in the rearview mirror. On the pole is a gentleman going for his fourth win tonight. It's young David Hutto. Earlier today, David, it was beginning to look like you may not even be out here.
Yeah, we had some trouble on the motor. Nothing we could prevent, you know, but we finally got it back in track, and we went out for qualifying. The first lap, a little loose, but we finally got some heat in the tires and come along.
Hutto's fourth pole position of the year comes here at Myrtle Beach Speedway in race number 13. When we return, we'll have the starting lineups. Welcome back to the Sun Fun City, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Bill Hennessy along with Lenny Baticki and Jack Murphy for tonight's Husqvarna 101 Goodies NASCAR Dash Series race. More cars showed up than were able to start here. 5 drivers failed to make qualifying this afternoon. They were Jim Safford, Darrell Basham, Chris Brown, Chuck Tuck, and Patrick Sullivan. Row 15 will be made up of 2 provisional starters. They are Keith Longmire and Carl Jennings.
Row number 14 features David Owens and Danny Mathis.
Row 13 will be Doug Thompson, the Kansas lawyer, flanked on the inside by Gary Moore.
Row number 12 has Steve Walker and rookie contender Davis Myers.
The 11th row is Destry Gardner on the outside, Ronnie Goodwin on the inside.
Row number 10 features Shane Jenkins and Dwayne Haynes Jr. up from Florida.
9th row is John Redmond and Gordon Weeks, a newcomer.
Row number 8, Johnny Smith and Edward Howell will be in that position.
In the next row, which is row 7, it's young B.J. Mackey returning after several races of absence, and he's flanked on the inside by Maxie Bush.
Row number 6, rookie point leader Daryl Murray and the number 2 points contender for the series, Lyndon Amick.
Top 10 qualifiers. 10th was Larry Caudle in Husqvarna Dodge on the inside, a brand new car for Scott Weaver, car number 2.
Row number 4, the driver with the most poles this season, although not tonight, Robert Huffman. Inside of Huffman will be Johnny Chapman making his return to Dash Series competition.
Row 3 sees Will Hobgood, a former winner here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, flanked by Mike Swaim Jr.
Row number 2, Mickey York and Danny Bagwell.
The front row, Tom Usry, former ARCA competitor and short track ace. And on the pole is David Hutto in the Shell Fire and Ice entry, 21.447 seconds around this track, 90.306 seconds. In-car camera. First we go with the Husqvarna Dodge of Larry Caudle as he comes up on the back of the Robert Huffman entry as they come through turns 3 and 4. And now we will go to the second in-car camera, this one being carried by young driver Lyndon Amick, who ran second here behind Caudle in the spring race. As we head towards the green flag, he bumps the driver right in front of him, Scott Weaver, on the start. The green is being waved by Jimmy Howell. As they roll into turn number 1, it is Hutto battling with the old grizzled veteran of Tom Usry. They move down the back straightaway. The Shell Fire and Ice Pontiac Sunfire is up front. Mickey York is in third place in the 24 car. He's the winningest driver here at Myrtle Beach with 3 posted wins in his career. In-car camera, Larry Caudle, and that is Johnny Chapman right in front of him. Chapman in the 3 car, coming back because he likes racing here in the Sun Fun City as we come up on the back of the Lyndon Amick car. Amick and Caudle racing furiously through turns 3 and 4 now as the leader brings them on the front straightaway.
David Hutto looking strong already this early in the race. David trying to get away from Usry and York right now as they stream out of corner number 2. David's got to keep himself calm, though. He doesn't want to start pulling away too early with all those veterans chasing him from behind.
Hutto is really on a roll here in the 1995 racing season. His sophomore year on the tour, this driver has ventured into victory lane on 3 occasions so far. This is Usry's first pole in the Goody's NASCAR Dash Series, or rather first front row start. He didn't win the pole. He sat on it for a long time during qualifying until Hutto knocked him off. A little further back in the action, Lyndon Amick is battling with the 28 car. Mike Swaim Jr., the driver that won up at Bristol, Tennessee, under the lights there. Swaim having a good run here this evening. Down to the inside, Lyndon Amick rim rides right at the bottom of the racetrack. Can't quite pull off the pass on Mike Swaim Jr. They head down the back straightaway. This track is very, very hard on a driver's neck. The centrifugal forces sling it over to the right. It's hard to keep your head up after about 20 or 25 laps unless you're in super shape.
Well, the track also has some unique characteristics going here into corner number 1. It looks like it's one way for a driver, and then you really have to negotiate it much different. You, as a former competitor, Bill, certainly know the line around this racetrack.
Well, I've driven around here a number of times. Unfortunately, I never found my way to victory lane. I crashed here on one occasion, and another time had a good run going until we spun out of turn 4. As we now see Will Hobgood to the inside of Danny Bagwell, the defending national champion, inside of the driver from Alabama in the TCI Ford Probe, and it looks like Hobgood will go in front. And right behind him here is Robert Huffman, who had a good run going this spring. Ended up getting spun out down on the first quarter, which ended his chances on that night, but he did come back to finish 6th in the spring race.
Going inside the Lyndon Amick's car as he chases Mike Swaim Jr. around the racetrack. Looking down the straightaway into the corner, Amick, number 2 in not only points but also in laps completed in 1995. As we come back out and see Robert Huffman along with Danny Bagwell going across start-finish line.
Bagwell behind the Robert Huffman car, and right behind him is a brand new car being driven by young Scott Weaver from Brian Butler's shop across from Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're putting together dash cars now. This car came in here and received the best appearing car plaque tonight from the local radio station WKZQ that handed out the best appearing car to number 2, Scott Weaver. A beautiful machine. Maybe we'll get a little closer look at that car later.
Weaver's had a lot of spikes and highs in the season, and hopefully tonight can be yet another one. So we see Usry negotiating one of the corners here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Now getting a look at why he has to go through those corners so well, because Mickey York trying to hunt him down. York has had so much good luck here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Huffman now on the inside of Hobgood, and Robert Huffman would sure like to find victory lane tonight after the disappointment that he had last time he was here at the beach.
Huffman moves to the inside of Will Hobgood. The 2 Pontiac Sunfires battling each other through turns 3 and 4 now. Beneath the scoreboard, 10 laps are in the book. Larry Caudle, in-car camera here, carrying it for Husqvarna, the folks who are kind enough to sponsor tonight's show. He's riding right behind these 2 competitors. He doesn't know whether to split between the 2 of the drivers or get down to the bottom of the racetrack, which he is doing so at the present time. He wants to get by Lyndon Amick and makes a bold move. Amick covers down on him, though, getting into turn 3.
David Hutto in front, continuing his advantage at the point. Tom Usry second as they circulate around the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Hutto continuing a real good line around here. He has stopped pulling farther and further away from Usry and seems to have found a static point on the racetrack where he can run smooth in his Pontiac.
Tom Usry steering his car primarily with one hand. One of his arms was injured in a crash, a violent crash, in an ARCA race a number of years ago down at Daytona Beach, Florida. And this driver has come back to race the short tracks of the Carolinas, has yet to venture back to a super speedway. Certainly had a good qualifying run here this evening, qualifying on the outside front row in the car owned by Ellis Reagan. We have a yellow on the racetrack. Everybody's slowing down now. An early yellow as the caution flag is being waved by Jimmy Howell, the Goody's NASCAR Dash Series flagman.
I think Gordon Weeks involved in the incident out there. As you can see, the car turned around in corner number 4.
Out up against the outside retaining wall, Gordon Weeks Jr. from Newport News, Virginia, driving a Chevrolet Cavalier. When you take a look at the damage on Gordon Weeks Jr.'s car there, you have to think about the kind of help it takes to get to the racetrack. And young Robert Huffman has a lot of help from family and friends from up around Newton, North Carolina. Those folks come to the racetrack with him every week. We had the opportunity to speak with Robert about what kind of help it takes to get here.
Well, you know, all the guys that help me on my crew kind of went to school with me, and they've been with me ever since I've been racing, and, you know, it just helps us to have that bond with each other of working out at the shop at night and, you know, just helping each other out doing different things.
How important is your brother to your team?
Well, you know, he's a big important part when we come to the racetrack because I can trust him to do things, you know, to look after myself because he is my brother. He's not with us this week. His wife, it's their last weekend off before she went back to work, so he stayed home this week, so we'll just have to hope we can do him without it.
And I sure bet he's missing his brother Kelly here tonight. Whoa, we got problems down in the first corner here. Tom Usry and Mickey York, Lyndon Amick tags York. More cars involved. Shane Jenkins pushes Ed Howell into the side of Usry. Both of those teammates with heavily damaged cars. The 00 of Usry, and Ed Howell came into it, and he's got damage on the right-hand side of his car as he comes by. Shane Jenkins right behind him, and he almost became airborne. Yellow flag waving here, Lenny. Usry down on the inside of the racetrack with a torn-up race car.
Torn-up race car. Very scary moment for Shane Jenkins as we see Howell coming down pit lane. And look at the extensive damage on the side of that car.
Both of those cars belong to Ellis Reagan. Another car involved is Destry Gardner from Asheboro, North Carolina. He was trying to take some evasive action, got on the outside retaining wall. Here on the replay, coming into the first corner, Hutto is your leader. Riding second is York. Usry down at the bottom of the racetrack. The cars get together. They go around sideways, broadsiding the racetrack. Keep your eye on Lyndon Amick, the 33 car. Barely tags the 24. Other cars now taking evasive action. Shane Jenkins into the back of Ed Howell. Hits the front of Usry's car. Davis Myers spinning around. And Destry Gardner up against the outside retaining wall. We should have another angle here, Lenny, on exactly what took place, but a multi-car crash here in the early going.
Very scary incident. I feel terrible for Destry Gardner. Destry has had a tough season. When he's been able to complete the laps, he's been able to end up in the top 10, but not here tonight. As we see the incident on replay, you can look into the corner and you can see the smoke coming off the cars as they've contacted. Now watch the yellow car right in the center of the, they start to brake, everybody brakes. He gets a little tap from the rear end, and then all of a sudden Jenkins is airborne up over Usry's car, and Howell's already had the contact. Gardner up against the wall, and there you see York getting back underway after his 360 spin.
Yellow flag flying here at lap 20 involving a multi-car crash. In-car camera now with Lyndon Amick, and the way he viewed it, he comes into the corner, he sees the cars go sideways, he moves up the racetrack and barely tags Mickey York. Hopefully there's not a lot of damage on the Amick Farms entry of Lyndon Amick. Cars under tow of the Pontiac Grand Prix pace car. When we return, there'll be more exciting action with the Husqvarna 101 from Myrtle Beach Speedway. Husqvarna 101 from Myrtle Beach Speedway, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, lap 23. We're getting ready to come back to a green flag, which is flying now. And David Hutto, Will Hobgood, Robert Huffman lined up 1, 2, 3. Danny Bagwell rides in 4th place. And there's Lyndon Amick having a very good run after hitting the front end of the Mickey York car on the last caution just a few laps ago. These drivers running almost nose to tail. We see them move around on the racetrack, kind of high, kind of low, but Huffman down at the bottom of the racetrack is challenging the Ford Probe of Danny Bagwell now as Hobgood is in tow of David Hutto, the driver that's picked off 3 wins this season in the Goody's NASCAR Dash Series.
Hutto's car got a little loose going through 1 and 2 that time, and I'm sure that Will Hobgood sees that and is going to continue to pressure the teenager as we look here. And the Hooked on Harry's Seafood Pontiac, Robert Huffman, in a door-to-door duel with the TCI Prime Star Ford of Danny Bagwell. Bagwell working that outside group rather well.
Bagwell down the back straightaway, and Bagwell having quite a battle on his hands with Huffman, as Huffman is right there. They race side by side around the racetrack. Excellent racing here at Myrtle Beach this evening among a lot of the competitors that are running a little further back in the pack. Here comes Larry Caudle, set to battle Lyndon Amick. We're in-car camera with him as he moves off the second quarter. Here's one of those turns where you sweep out against the outside retaining wall, then pull the car right down to the bottom of the racetrack beneath the scoreboard. The car will start to push out on you as you exit the corner out of 4 and through the dog leg, which makes up the straightaway here at Myrtle Beach.
Both Caudle and Amick are making up track time as they started 10th and 11th and now getting their way up well into the top 10. Huffman and Bagwell, it looks like the Pontiac's got the advantage this time over the Ford.
Bagwell has been a tough competitor this season, having won 2 events this year. Bagwell has started on the pole a couple of times, and he is battling with Huffman. Noses down to the inside, has that perfect line getting into the first quarter and goes to 3rd place.
Danny using the flat spot of the racetrack pretty well there, and there's a guy that knows this track so well.
Well, we've just got a good setup here. We've got a good engine combination for it, and I've been real lucky, and I love the racetrack. That's about all I can tell you. If you like somewhere, you'll run real good. We've got a good combination. We're either really good or really bad here.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true, Mickey, especially for you this year, because it has been either all bad luck or all good luck. This driver has won here on 3 occasions here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, back in 1990, 92, and 1994. Tonight, he's going to have his work cut out for him following that crash over in the second quarter. He's still running on the lead lap, but unfortunately, he's not up there with the leaders. Hobgood riding in second place as Hutto goes around Shane Jenkins.
Leader already involved with some lap cars, and now probably the best racing on the track here. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. 2 Pontiacs in the Ford, and right now Bagwell's Ford right in between those 2 Pontiacs. Got to give those GM and Ford fans something a whole lot to cheer about. We go in-car with Larry Caudle looking at the back of our other in-car camera car, Lyndon Amick.
Lyndon Amick holding off Larry Caudle for the last several laps here, keeping his Pontiac Grand Am right in front of the little Husqvarna Dodge. Hutto's got this race all to himself. I was talking to his godfather, who is Joe Penland, a former South Carolina State Modified and Limited Sportsman champion back in the 50s, and he's saying that this is a very powerful engine that young Amick has in the car this evening. We go just beyond lap 30 here in this 101-lap contest over this .538 mile facility. This track is considered a half mile, but it is a big half mile, and believe you me, these cars are running considerable speed. At the end of the straightaway, Will Hobgood this afternoon, under hot sunny conditions, clocked on our sports radar gun at 107 miles per hour, and he is flat getting it on here at this racetrack.
Speaking of flat, Danny Bagwell has been using the flat part of this racetrack probably better than anybody in the top 5. Now he's got to get around those lap cars. We won't get to see it. Mickey York, again, circulating around this racetrack. He knows just about each and every spot on the track to go fast on with as many victories. But here's Bagwell. Look at how low he can go on the track in that Ford. It takes the power to go those speeds you had talked about, Bill, but he's really got the handling so far this evening.
Our sports radar gun, that lap showing 108 miles per hour at the end of the straightaway here, just a hair quicker than Will Hobgood's 107 miles per hour.
Down into those tight corners, and the Ford again works strong while the Pontiac of Hobgood slips up the racetrack just a bit. Now Huffman may challenge Hobgood as well as they go past the start-finish line.
I can't believe this race that Lyndon Amick and Larry Caudle are having. Caudle running rather conservative here in the early going as we go in-car camera on the Lyndon Amick machine. They head down the back straightaway. He wants to be up there about 6 cars ahead of himself. He'd like to be leading this race. He's never led a Goody's NASCAR Dash Series race in his career.
Well, I got to compliment Larry Caudle, like you say, as he goes here to work on the inside, and we look at Huffman and Hobgood. Larry Caudle is about 5th in laps led, yet he has completed almost every lap on the tour. When Larry Caudle gets to the front of a pack, That's when it's the money laps, those later laps. Right now, he's just working the car. And as you had said, it's a big half-mile racetrack, Bill. They've got 101 laps to go tonight. You've got to conserve just a little bit of your race car if you really want to be there when it's time to pay the money and the points.
Well, Huffman's putting the hammer down, even though his brother isn't here tonight. Will Hobgood seems to be dropping back because Lyndon Amick is going to challenge him going into turn 3. Caudle on the high side of the racetrack is not using up his tires. He's letting the car run very free, but look at Lyndon Amick stand on the accelerator, bust the rear tires loose, and almost go sideways, but he wants that position from Will Hobgood, the defending champion in the series.
Lyndon not intimidated by a champion's crown for Will Hobgood. As we look at Caudle now trying to go to the inside of the Pontiac. The Dodge not able to make the move in that corner, but I'm sure he'll work him and continue to try to get the spot from Will Hobgood.
Well, Amick is now up to 4th place as they come up on Carl Jennings. Would like to say we enjoyed all that barbecue chicken that the folks from Amick Farms had for lunch down here today. Want to thank Bill Amick and his entire family, and certainly hope that your daughter-in-law is feeling much better. We understand she's in the weather, under the weather down at the Medical University here in South Carolina, and our thoughts are with her.
Well, I know you enjoyed that barbecue. You really went back for seconds, and I might have seen you grab a third there, but I won't say anything as the cars continue to circulate. Good little look here at a couple of dash champions. One, of course, Will Hobgood, the reigning champion, and a former champion, Larry Caudle, who looking real strong to take it this season. He can continue the kind of luck he's had already in the first 2/3 of the season.
So far, we've only seen 2 caution flags so far. Larry Caudle creeping up on Will Hobgood. Hobgood looks up in his rearview mirror and sees the little Dodge prepared by David Watson Racing out of Boone, North Carolina, carrying the Husqvarna colors dive over to the inside. And we go in-car camera, and that's just how close the racing is as he moves up on the quarter panel, and Hobgood has to correct the car as he goes by to the outside of Mike Swain Jr. We're nearing the halfway mark. 45 laps are now in the record book here at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And problems coming out of the second quarter. We see a car going sideways and lots of smoke. That's Carl Jennings. And with the yellow flag waving, we'll be back with more of the Husqvarna 101 in just a few moments. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway. Bill Hennessy along with Lenny Baticki and Jack Murphy here for tonight's Husqvarna 101 as the green flag waves again here on lap 47. And we go racing. In-car camera immediately. We go with Lyndon Amick as he's trying to get his way up to the front, going to the outside of Scott Weaver, right behind Robert Huffman. Head down the back straightaway. Sure get the sensation of speed as he dives over to the inside of the racetrack and lines up behind Robert Huffman as he head down through the dogleg here at Myrtle Beach.
I think you get a pretty good sensation that there's 6 or 7 cars tonight that are anxious and ready to maybe win this thing all. At this point, Hutto is in the lead, but look at Bagwell right on the rear deck lid. And I've got a strong contention that Danny's going to try to get himself up in front here before halfway as he dives down to the inside, again using the flat part of the racetrack to his advantage.
49 laps have been completed as Bagwell pulls down to the inside and takes over the lead. This time by, he will be scored with leading lap 50. So far we have had 3 different leaders in this contest. 3 different leaders have been up front so far this evening.
Danny Bagwell bringing him across the stripe. You know, we had talked about the powerful engine, but Danny's had a car that has worked in so many spots on this racetrack. He can keep it together. David Hutto now being challenged by Robert Huffman. You see 2 of the quickest cars in all of the Dash Series. 3 poles for Hutto, 4 poles for Huffman. Those guys know how to get around in a one-lap fashion, and they've also won their share of races this season.
Lyndon Amick having a very good run, rides in 4th place behind Huffman, and trailing behind them Will Hobgood and Larry Caudle. Now, I really thought that Hutto would have led every lap here tonight based on his qualifying and starting on the pole, but he's falling back either to cool his tires or possibly there's something wrong with the number 97.
Well, he did have a little bit of looseness in the car that we had commented on earlier when Will Hobgood was pressuring him. But, of course, that can be, you know, a test to just having Will Hobgood in your mirror would make you get loose. Huffman now on the inside of Hutto, and we'll see how the car handles on the outside now as the fire and ice machine tries to hang right with the seafood car.
I don't believe Huffman wants to give up the, rather, Hutto wants to give up the position because Huffman is down on the inside, but Hutto riding a little higher on the racetrack. Huffman will challenge him off the second quarter as they run almost wheel to wheel down the back straightaway. Huffman should stick it right down at the bottom of the racetrack, and we go in-car camera with Lyndon Amick here to see the battle that's right in front of him. And his question has to be, which one of these drivers do I follow?
Do you follow Huffman, who's on the inside making tight circles around this racetrack, or do you try to stick with Hutto, who may be a little loose working on the outside? Well, right now things going to sort out for a second, and then they re-foot shuffle as Amick on the inside.
Whoa, he bumps him.
Ooh, and
Lyndon bumped David Hutto there coming out of the fourth quarter, and Hutto cocked it sideways. Now Lyndon Amick very smartly backed off the accelerator to keep from turning Hutto around. Yellow flag is waving. The field slowing down now for debris on the racetrack. And with the yellow out, Jack Murphy had an opportunity to talk earlier today to B.J. Mackey about what he'd be doing if he weren't at the racetrack.
Well, if I wasn't racing, I reckon I'd be back at the shop working on the car. Most Saturdays is what I'm doing. And on Sundays, usually working on the car again.
what do your friends think of your racing?
Well, they like it a lot. My best friend, he comes to the racetrack with me most of the time, and he's pretty good help. And the rest of them, they think it's cool.
Young B.J. Mackey, you got to have some friends to come to the racetrack with you. As we go back to green flag racing, Robert Huffman takes over the lead. Bagwell is off the pace, moving to the high side of the racetrack. Danny Bagwell dropping off the pace and dropping back as drivers are streaming by him down the back straightaway. In-car camera, Lyndon Amick now behind the Robert Huffman car, and we now see him in a position to challenge for the lead.
A good look here at Danny coming to the inside of the racetrack where he had done well, but pulling down the pits is not what he wanted to do as Huffman and Amick come out of the turn. Robert Huffman now assuming the lead that I'm sure he feels he wants to hold all the way to the end. Bagwell coming down pit road. Danny, of course, the Alabama runner, going to be a long trip back to the Hart-O-Dixie if he hasn't been able to get back out onto the track. Huffman leading him through the corner.
Reports are that Danny Bagwell's car has lost the rear end. So he has been sidelined from the competition after a fine run in the early going.
Bill, we had an opportunity to talk to series champion Will Hobgood about who he thinks will be the next driver to win on the tour who hasn't already got a victory in 1995. Some very interesting comments from the defending series champion.
Well, probably Lyndon Amick. You know, he's been all around the top 5 all year, and he's running real good. Hadn't won a race this year, but we look for him to win a race shortly as good as he's running. He's real strong.
His win could come tonight because Lyndon Amick has fought his way to the front in front of Robert Huffman. Right now, he has taken the lead here at Myrtle Beach Speedway on lap 62.
His first ever lead of a NASCAR Goodies Dash Series event. Lyndon Amick in front of the crowd here at Myrtle Beach Speedway as they cheer their approval for this South Carolina racer in the Amick Farms Pontiac. Now Robert Huffman has bigger things to worry about as David Hutto and Larry Cottle work on the back of his car. As it moves to the outside of the racetrack, they'll go 3 wide into this corner.
3 abreast. The sandwich in between, that's the guy I wouldn't want to be. He's almost to the inside of Huffman. Steers it back over to the left and loses ground as the car cocks sideways. But Larry Cottle has moved by to take over second place now. Cottle rides in second. Hutto's trying to hang on, battling with Huffman for third place, and Hobgood is right behind him.
Hutto showing a lot of savvy there. That's the second time this race he's been sideways on the course, right next to another car, and saved it. Larry Cottle in the Husqvarna Dodge, pulling away from the trio of drivers who he was just recently battling with. It looks like Huffman on the outside, Hutto on the inside, and now B.J. Mackey getting up in there and mixing it up with Will Hobgood for that position.
B.J. out for a number of races, has returned here to Myrtle Beach Speedway, and the Sun Fun City having a good run here this evening. But the very tight battle between Huffman and Hutto, Hobgood and B.J. Mackey is tightening up as they head for the first quarter.
Mackey bringing the Chevrolet bow tie up into the top half dozen or so as he moves into the inside of Hobgood. Down the back straightaway, the 2 Pontiacs forced in the outside of the 2 young South Carolina racers, Hutto and Mackey.
Moving out of the fourth quarter now. Hutto cocks it sideways again. The tires must be going away on the number 97 car. He's got his hands full. A race car. They come up on some slow traffic, and another driver that goes round and round is Huffman. Robert Huffman peeling off and losing it in turn 2. Will Hobgood collected up in that along with Mickey York.
Two very good cars collected in this one, and that's a tough way to go. We take a look at it here on replay. You see as Huffman goes to the outside, maybe a little bit of contact between he and Hobgood, and Robert spinning around, and then Hobgood being tapped by Mickey York as 3 of the veterans collide here at Myrtle Beach.
Those 3 drivers, all champions in the Dash Series, being collected up in a crash in the second quarter here at Myrtle Beach Speedway in the Husqvarna 101. 68 laps complete. We'll be back with more in a moment. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway with the green flag flying. The Husqvarna 101, young Lyndon Amick, 18-year-old driver, leads the 2-time national champion Larry Caudle down the back straightaway. Interesting, these 2 drivers are also fighting for the season points championship, with Caudle leading Lyndon now by just a few points.
Lyndon Amick across the start-finish line, all new territory, like a Star Trek mission for Lyndon Amick, places where man has not gone before. And Lyndon is just out there running. I thought for a second I saw headlights on the car, but it's the smile emanating from inside the driver compartment.
A lot of the employees from Amick Farms in Batesburg, South Carolina were bussed up here to see Lyndon run, and they are excited about their young driver, 18 years old, leading here at Myrtle Beach for the first time in his career. As a matter of fact, you can hear him in the background yelling, "Lyndon, Lyndon," and he is in front of Larry Caudle.
Well, this is a challenge. If he is able to pull this off, he is really going to earn a lot of points all over the racing community, because Larry Caudle in the Husqvarna Dodge is double tough. He won the first event here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, and right now he's testing the youngster on the inside.
Lyndon feeling the heat of Larry Caudle and his fans yelling, "Lyndon, Lyndon," as he heads down the back straightaway. They both jump out of the accelerator momentarily. Looks like we've got a yellow flag on the track for Ronnie Goodwin. We had the opportunity to talk with him earlier today about what he's learned about the series.
Well, to begin with, at Timmerville, we started out with a top 10 finish, and it was real good. And then we went to Gainesville and failed to qualify. So, you know, that was a big letdown for us. But since then, we've made all the races. We've had to do a lot of maintenance other than these 100 laps are a whole lot different from the 20 laps back home. We have to do a lot of maintenance during the week, you know, and stuff. And we've been pretty lucky. You know, we haven't tore up the car a lot or nothing, you know, so we've been pretty lucky. But as far as trying, it's, you know, these 100-lap races, it's real hot in that car, but, you know, I'm getting used to that.
Very genuine individual, standing presently tied with Davis Myers for second place in the Rookie of the Year standings, and they want to win that honor, if for nothing more than the bragging rights. Lyndon Amick leading the contest here after we go back to green flag racing. Larry Caudle still giving chase right behind him. Caudle trying to get that Dodge into a position to take over the lead, may be able to do that at this time as he brings the car strongly off the second quarter and races hard for turn 3. He's at the bottom of the racetrack, the perfect place to be here at Myrtle Beach, but it binds the car up just a hair. He has to stand on the accelerator, and we're seeing some great racing side by side in this duel for 101 laps.
The fans surely enjoying this as Larry Caudle on the inside of the Dodge, Lyndon Amick in the Pontiac on the outside. They'll gun it down the back straightaway, and the 2-time series champion on the inside of a driver who's never led until tonight, a Dash Series event. Lyndon Amick still putting on a strong show as they go right across the stripe even.
The race this past spring at this racetrack saw these drivers run 1 and 2, with Caudle winning over young Lyndon Amick in a fine race that night, and we're seeing a great one here this evening. Hopefully you're enjoying this one as much as we are. Lyndon Amick now gets back in front as Caudle is letting his tires cool down just a bit. after racing the last several laps side by side. He realizes, gee, I've got to change my strategy just a little bit. Amick is really strong this evening, flexing his muscle.
Well, you said it earlier. The car binds up on the inside, and Larry had ran it there so much that those tires heating and heating up. Now they've cooled a little bit. He can again start to search the lower portion of the racetrack to try to catch up to Amick's Pontiac, who continues to use a very, very wide line around here. He does have the door open enough if Caudle can just find a way to take advantage of it.
Caudle comes back, races hard, winds up that Jan Smith motor, and he is side by side here at lap 81.
Oh, Lyndon Amick having a good time out there on the racetrack right now. We had an opportunity to ask him what it's like when he's not here at the track.
Well, I don't know if I miss normal weekends. You know, I enjoy racing and I enjoy being out with the people. I guess I'd be out at the lake right now, or, you know, somewhere just goofing off being a normal teenager. So I don't miss it. This is a lot of fun to me, and it's an advantage, I guess, to be out here and having a lot of fun.
He's really doing exactly what he wants to do. He got involved in the sport through go-kart racing, and a friend of his in Batesburg, South Carolina, took him to the go-kart races. His dad got involved, and tonight just may be the night that Lyndon Amick will claim a checkered flag in his first victory in the Goody's NASCAR Dash Series. But the seasoned veteran Larry Caudle, the two-time national champion, goes to the whip on the Husqvarna Dodge, side by side, wheel to wheel, and hub to hub. Plenty of racing room between the two drivers. Caudle is out in front by a half a car length, and I believe he's going to beat him into 3. Both drivers jump out of the throttle. Spotters saying there's trouble over in the second corner. Ronnie Goodwin has spun around. We're winding down the laps. When we return, we'll have the finish here for the Husqvarna 101. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway for the Husqvarna 101. Bill Hennessy along with Lenny Baticki and Jack Murphy. Calling the action for you tonight, Larry Caudle has taken the lead now as we're winding down the laps. Lyndon Amick is fighting with B.J. Mackey here, the 11 car. Mackey has worked his way up to 3rd place as we work lap 90 within 10 laps of a finish as they come by the stripe this time. But Caudle has really got his little car wound up and moving away from second place runner Lyndon Amick. B.J. Mackey haunts the 33 car now. Tries to get close. He's within a half a car length. B.J. Mackey, after being out of several races this season, is back, and the car slides sideways right in front of Scott Weaver, and he gathers it back up. So Caudle, the seasoned veteran, battling with 2 young drivers looking for their first wins.
The Dodge leads, the Pontiac in second, the Chevrolet third for B.J. Mackey. The best run of a Chevrolet in quite some time. Mackey trying to ease up there and put it to Lyndon Amick. He'll go to the inside once again. The car was loose last lap around. It sticks a bit better.
Well, think about Larry Caudle right now. No pressure on him as he seems to be moving away from second and third place. But B.J. Mackey on the inside of Lyndon Amick here. He wants second place. Lyndon wants to hang on to it to equal his best finish ever, a second in the series.
Off the corner, Mackey again testing Amick on the inside. And Lyndon's car just can't come down on the racetrack. It's got to stay up in that high groove, and it's costing him the door open for advances like B.J. Mackey is putting on him right now.
B.J. is there, knocking on the door, but Lyndon runs that high line and continues to hold the 11 car at bay. They're almost together in turn 3. B.J. brings the car to the bottom of the racetrack. A dead heat once again as they come towards the stripe. About a half a car length to Lyndon Amick.
2 young drivers, neither of them touching each other, though. Give them a lot of credit here, working like seasoned veterans, working each other high and low, but no contact between either of these drivers yet.
Well, Lyndon Amick earlier led a considerable number of laps here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Now he is just battling to hang on to second place and the opportunity to at least have some bragging rights to tell all his friends, well, I led down there and maybe I ran second. But that may not happen because B.J. Mackey is right there. What a race we've seen all evening long among a number of different drivers.
Mackey working the Chevrolet again on the inside, and he is having a phenomenal race after missing a number of events this season to come back this strong at a very unique oval here in Myrtle Beach. And look at him right to the inside of the Pontiac. Amick just trying to hang on.
London Amick and B.J. Mackey, both young drivers, 18 years old, one from Batesburg, South Carolina, the other one from Rock Hill, South Carolina. And both of these drivers putting on quite an exhibition of driving, displaying their talents before the crowd at Myrtle Beach Speedway, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Neither driver has a win in the series, but showing a lot of skill as Mackey in the Chevrolet on the inside now has a nose in front of the Amick Farms Pontiac down the back straightaway. Again, they are side by side, door handle to door handle, and these two teenagers continue to thrill this crowd here at Myrtle Beach.
Both cars powered by 165 cubic inch General Motors Iron Duke engines with a 2-barrel Holley carburetor, and they are thrilling the crowd lap after lap. B.J. Mackey drops off the pace. B.J. Mackey slowing down. Lyndon Amick pulls away as the laps are really winding down at this point, and B.J. Mackey's engine looks like it has expired.
White flag, final lap. Larry Caudle in front of Lyndon Amick. Caudle can bring it around this last half a lap or so. It'll be his 4th win and his 8th top 5 of 1995.
Larry Caudle, the Husqvarna Dodge, brings it through turn number 4. He'll be greeted by the checkered flag from Jimmy Howell. And this race is over. 101 laps completed. Congratulations. We'll return with Victory Lane in a moment.
Communications provided by Racing Radios, Diversified Electronics, 1-800-669-1522, the official communications company of NASCAR.
Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, for the Husqvarna 101. Victory Lane taking place down trackside. Jack Murphy happens to be with a very happy winner, Larry Caudle.
Lady Luck has struck twice. We're in the winner's circle with Larry Caudle. You did it in the spring. Congratulations. You're back in it.
Well, thank you very much. I'll tell you, I've raced here for years and not won a race down here. And it's one of the racetracks I said owed me. Last time I got a win, it wasn't the way I wanted to win with controversy, but tonight I don't think I hit anyone. I don't believe anyone hit me. I don't call it Lady Luck. I think it's team luck. The team made the luck. And without the guys and the engine man, Jan Smith, David Watson Racing and his whole team, Ronnie Lewis, Mark, Charlie Moore, I'm going to leave someone out. All my sponsors, Husqvarna, Goody's, Gatorade, Champion, anyone else that's on my car, without them, we may not have won the race.
So you started 10th and you moved your way through the front of the pack. It's obviously teamwork that paid off for you tonight.
Well, it sure is. You know, if we lost one cog out of the wheel, you know what could happen. And tonight, it wasn't an easy victory, as you saw. Lennon gave me a fit all night long, and Will Hobgood had some problems, and he raced me clean. I raced him clean for a long time. That's the kind of racing I think the fans come out to see, and thank God we didn't have any bad wrecks, and hopefully there's no hurt feelings tonight.
Larry Caudle will maintain his points lead over second-place finisher Lyndon Amick. Third is Robert Huffman in the points, followed by David Hutto, and fifth is Will Hobgood. Second place in the points and second place on the racetrack is young Lyndon Amick. He's with Jack Murphy now for a driver that led his first battle in Goody's NASCAR Dash competition, leading a number of laps among the folks who worked for his dad down at Amick Farms, who came down here to see this young man run. Close but no cigar for the 18-year-old driver from Batesburg, South Carolina.
All I can say is hotter than a chicken wing. Lyndon Amick, you know, earlier today, some of the other racers said you were one of the guys that under the right circumstances, you're going to be the guy who's going to bring home the checkered flag. Close tonight.
Well, you know, we came close. You know, I thought we may have been able to do it, but, you know, we led some laps. That's the first time I led some laps. It was good to do it. You know, we just got a little bit loose there at the end. You know, we didn't run Caudle down, but, you know, we stayed right with him. So, all in all, it was a good day.
Finishing third, David Hutto. Fourth, Robert Huffman. Fifth, Darrell Murray, who's also the leading Rookie of the Year candidate. Sixth was rookie driver David Owens. Seventh was Johnny Smith. Eighth, Will Hobgood. Ninth, Ronnie Goodwin. And 10th, B.J. Mackey, whose engine went away in the closing laps of the contest. But for young David Hutto, his third pole of the year was looking for victory number 4 on the season. Led 49 laps, a number of circuits here at Myrtle Beach, but came up a little short. He's with Jack Murphy.
David Hutto, you started first, right on the pole. You finished the race third. You led a lot of laps, but you said something about your car being loose there at the end.
Well, the Shell Fire and Ice Pontiac handled good for the first 50 laps. And we set up a tick loose, you know. We should have tightened up a little bit more, but I thank the good Lord for finishing third. We come home, you know, we up there in the point still. In third, and we're going to come back at Nashville and try to win.
There's a driver with a bright future on the horizon, young David Hutto. Caution periods tonight, there were 7 for some 23 laps. There were 4 lead changes among 5 different drivers. One of the drivers who led laps 59 through 61 taken out with a crash over in the second quarter is Robert Huffman from Claremont, North Carolina. He happens to be now with Jack Murphy, and here are his comments.
We're with Robert Huffman, who qualified a little further back in the pack than you'd like to, but fourth's not bad.
Yeah, you know, we got a pretty bad start there with qualifying. We ran real good in practice there and thought we was going to have a good shot for the pole. Went out, and I guess I loaded the carburetor up or something, and it just never did clear out. And, you know, we're glad to bring the Hooked on Harry's Seafood Pontiac home in fourth. Had it rough there, went all the way to the lead and cut a right front tire down. It started pushing real bad, and those guys got under me, and we got together down there and turned me around. They knocked her in forwards on the right side, so we was a little handicapped there at the end, but we're just tickled to come home in fourth.
Well, Huffman has suffered nothing but hard luck here at Myrtle Beach this year.
Huffman finishing fourth. The fifth-place driver is currently 8th in series points, but he's the rookie points leader. Out of Lancaster, South Carolina, he's alongside our Jack Murphy.
Daryl Murray, a top 5 finish. Congratulations. What was the determining factor tonight?
Well, we had a real good car all night. In practice, we had a good car. We was running consistent laps, and we just felt like that if we could hang on, we could have a top 5, top 10 finish tonight.
So the strategy going to be the same when you take off to Nashville?
Yeah, we're just trying to take care of the car and everything, and we'll be at Nashville. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Baker Electric, Lancaster Speedway, Smalls Automotives, and Precision Engine Service.
The championship race continues to get tighter and tighter. Congratulations to Larry Caudle on his victory and the Husqvarna 101 at Myrtle Beach Speedway. For Lenny Baticki and Jack Murphy, I'm Bill Hennessy. We'll see you at the races.